Can you ever have enough spells available to cast in a game that is based around magic?
And how soon is soon enough when you're supposed to be getting them?
I know. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. It's me, Amanda.
I'm Connor. Today, we're counting down legacy spells, which we should have had earlier.
True. Let's get into it.
In at 10, Imperio. Imperio is classified as an unforgivable curse that can temporarily control enemies and make them fight for you. To obtain the curse, players must follow specific steps that are basically just, you get it as part of Sebastian's side quest line kind of thing, which can be initiated by selecting certain dialogues during the side quest called In the Shadow of the Bloodline. It's located in the Great Hall. I mean, come on, you're gonna end up doing it no matter what. After completing main quest number 29, Astronomy class, this quest will automatically appear in your quest log. To unlock the Shadow of Time, which is the quest where you get Imperio, you also have to complete Shadow of the Study and Shadow of Discovery. During this quest, players will encounter Sebastian and have to actually choose to learn the Imperious Curse after opening the first skeleton door, and if you miss the chance to unlock it during this quest, then you'll have to learn it later on after completing his full quest line. So you're gonna have to wait even more. But like, damn, okay, what the hell? That's a lot to go through to learn the spell. Can't we just like have Mad Eye Moody's ancestor teach us real quick? It's like, just show me what the name is, and then I'm good, right? That's how it works, I feel.
Number 9, Revelio. Revelio is one of the first spells you learn, so you might think it's kind of odd that I've included it here on a list where we're mainly talking about spells later in the game that we wish we could learn earlier. But this is because, well, yes, there are later spells that would definitely have been useful at the beginning of the game in battles and for other tasks, you know, like Imperio. There are actually spells that you just default start the game knowing, and Revelio, it ain't one of them. Now, you do learn it in the tutorial though, which is probably done to better help you understand, you know, the spell and how to utilize it, as it is extremely useful. Still, as someone that is very familiar with playing RPG games, I was already looking to cast Revelio as soon as I dropped into the game. I didn't even know it was going to be a spell, I just thought it was going to be a function in the game, which it's cool that it's a function and it's a spell, but still. For me, I wish I had access to it alongside the default spells our character already just seems to inherently know. Revelio is a spell which reveals hidden items or simply interactive items to the player in a nearby area, with them pinging and being revealed by sort of like a glowing outline, very briefly upon your cast of Revelio. In RPGs, this is the type of action that I'm doing every other second because I'm always fearful of missing something, so for me, having it at the beginning would have helped me to not waste time searching an area that really had nothing in it that I really wasn't, I don't think, supposed to be searching, and would have helped me to actually find items I needed or wanted more easily from the beginning of the game. And like I said, I was already in there like, how do I do the ping thing? And then I was like, okay, that's apparently not a thing, and then they taught it to me and I was like, what? Okay, cool, now I know.
In at 8, Confringo. This spell can be obtained during the first term of the main storyline by completing a side quest, again given to you by Sebastian. Towards the end of that term, players will receive an owl letter instructing them to meet Sebastian in the Dark Arts Tower. Upon arrival, players will be taken to the Undercroft, where Sebastian will teach them the spell. During this quest, players will have the opportunity to practice the spell on little chandelier brazier things hanging on the ceiling, and then once the quest is completed, you can use it whenever you want. The primary purpose of this spell is to counteract enemies' red shields and inflict damage on ranged opponents, and this is due to its ranged casting ability, which actually allows them to strike from a longer distance, unlike Incendio, because that one's kind of trash. But considering how trash Incendio is compared to this one, we should learn it right away. Okay, I mean, come on. Whatever happened to learning how to defend ourselves against the Dark Arts? With Dark Arts.
Number 7, Reparo. While you do learn Reparo in Hogwarts Legacy, and as anticipated, you unlock it through collecting field guide pages, you don't really learn it nearly fast enough for me. This is a spell that presented itself as useful to me even before I had actually learned it, being that I was walking around and already seeing stuff like broken statues, things that were broken, that I was like, oh hey, I bet Reparo would be useful here, I bet I'm supposed to fix this and I get something. So I was really eager to get Reparo so that I could, you know, get repairing stuff. Once you learn Reparo, you completely unlock sort of field pages which you can go around and collect, although even at that point in the game they're already a presence, they become more of a presence. Most will probably already see the use for this spell in the very quest where you are meant to get the spell, as the quest, when it's given to you in the form of homework from your charms professor, Professor Ronan, one of my favorite professors thus far in the game, is given to you in an enclosed outdoor courtyard in front of a statue. In this same area, area, only a few paces away, is of course a broken statue that used to look out over the lake. This statue, which was said to represent Heartbreak, is the one that you're going to repair, so you can test out Reparo once you've gathered enough field pages to basically unlock the spell, which Professor Ronen will teach you and have you try out on the statue. Now of course, because I saw the statue, because I'm constantly exploring everything, I was like, whoa, can I just cast this now? No, not yet, you have to do homework.
And it's 6 Petrificus Totalis. One of the easiest ways to defeat enemies in Hogwarts Legacy is by using the spell Petrificus Totalis. Man, I feel like I'm in a Wizards of Waverly Place episode. The same charm that Hermione casts on Neville in The Philosopher's Stone, the first book. This magical skill isn't like the others that's actually on this list though, because it can only be used when you're being stealthy and sneaking up on enemies. You can make the spell more effective by upgrading it and upgrading your stealth abilities, and doing this can make it harder for enemies to detect you, allowing you to like run when invisible and stuff, but you have to be stealth whenever you use it, okay? And you can't use this spell until you've actually completed the Secrets of the Restricted Section main quest. So you gotta wait for that too. But like again, the worst part is that it's a stealth spell, okay? Meaning that you have to avoid detection, and you can't cast it mid-combat. Because once you get into combat, you can't use the spell anymore. Okay, it's stupid. Because whether you can see me or not, you can still get petrified. So why did they have to add the handicap onto the spell? Do better, Hogwarts. Hermione wasn't stealthed.
Number 5, Disillusionment Charm. This one is a spell that you likely want to learn early on in the game. Definitely earlier as well than when you actually get to learn it, which considering the length of the game, you know, is still fairly early on, but considering how useful this spell really is, definitely not early enough for my tastes. The Disillusionment Charm was something I wanted to cast ever since I noticed that there were chests that, you know, to open them, you would need to sneak up on them. I was like, how do I sneak up on these chests? How do we do that? I figured we wouldn't be getting an invisibility cloak anytime soon, and definitely not the invisibility cloak, which is the Deathly Hallow that Harry himself inherits, so I assumed that, you know, we would need a spell for that. Or, you know, potions. I was already like making invisibility potions at this point in the game. The Disillusionment Charm is just that, making you appear invisible to those not looking closely. However, this spell is obviously not perfect, and as a result, even while disillusioned, if you move too quickly, too closely to an enemy, you will be noticed. You learn this spell when sneaking into the restricted section of the library, but there are definitely in-game uses that present themselves prior to you learning it as part of the overall main quest. So,
In at 4, Flipendo. After completing Professor Garlick's first task, players will then receive an owl with a second. The rewards for this one is Flipendo. As this is an assignment for the Herbology Professor, there's going to be a lot of plants involved. So to complete this second assignment, you're going to need to use all 3 combat plants at the same time while also growing and harvesting a Fluxweed plant, which requires you to actually buy the seeds, and you have to have a table large enough to grow the plant in the Room of Acquirement. It's a whole kerfuffle, okay? Fluxweed plants require a large table to grow and take 15 real minutes to grow, making it like, yeah, it's a better option to focus on first, but again, that's still 15 minutes of your life that you're going to be waiting for these things. The seeds can be purchased at the Magic Neep in Hogsmeade for 350 galleons, but then after buying the seeds, you also need to make sure you have the table in the Room of Acquirement that has a large pot, and that's not something you'll typically get, so you'll need to head to Tomes and Scrolls and purchase the scroll for a large table, the cheapest of which is 1,000 galleons. After buying the seeds and the table, you make one of the rooms, and then you plant the Fluxweeds in the Room of Acquirement, and then you wait 15 minutes before it can be harvested. But during that time, you'll also need to acquire all 3 combat plants and then use them all at once on an enemy. That's a whole lot to do for a spell that has nothing to do with plants. Okay, I'm just saying. It flips people upside down, and not even like with a vine or something, it just does it. Why are there plants involved?
Number 3, Crucio. I mean, because who doesn't want to stop their enemies in their tracks by blanketing them in pain that is extreme and ultimately unforgivable? I think once all of us figured out that the unforgivable curses were in the game and could be cast, we're kind of curious about them, right? I mean, even myself, not knowing if I'm personally going to learn these spells and use them, I'm still intrigued by their existence. Crucio in the game does recurring damage to enemies, so once cast, enemies will slowly have their life drained over time as this curse continues to take effect. You can learn this spell only much later in the game from your ally and companion Sebastian Sallows as part of the Shadow of the Relic quest, or afterwards in the Dark Arts Battle Arena, which is, you know, what we've been talking about with all of the forgivable curses, because, I mean, honestly, we all kind of want them, I think.
But ultimately, in at number 2, Bombarda. like I said previously, new spells are learned with extracurricular assignments, and they're meant to kind of also help you catch up to the level of a 5th year. But Bombarda is a reward for completing Professor Howin's assignment. The quest is unavailable until after you complete Charles Rockwood's second trial, and then after completing it, you'll receive an owl. The assignment has you traveling and catching 2 different beasts, both conveniently marked on your map when tracking the quest, because of course, at least they're doing that for us. We don't actually have to go out and find it ourselves. One of the beasts that the player will need to track down is called a Diracol. Next, you'll also need to capture a giant purple toad. I mean, it seems pretty self-explanatory what that is just a giant purple toad, but it's also recommended that you stealth around his swamp because he's kind of like Shrek, and there are also more aggressive frogs that will attack you, and they're actually pretty decent in large numbers, but that's aside the point. After completing the assignment, you'll be able to return to another beast class where Professor Howin will teach you Bombarda afterwards, but in order to capture these creatures, you need a knapsack, which you can't get until level 15. So you'll be waiting a bit to get the best non-illegal spell in the game, which sucks because why shouldn't I just go around murdering everybody if I have to wait that damn long?
Number 1. Avada Kedavra. Avada Kedavra is of course another unforgivable curse, and probably the curse that people were the most curious about in regards to its existence and potential uses in the game. Well, you can indeed cast Avada Kedavra, and yes, you can use it to kill your enemies. However, you can't use it to kill just anyone. Characters that need to stay alive for quest purposes and other fellow students as well as staff at Hogwarts are of course immune to this curse. You cannot kill them or harm them with Avada Kedavra. So it's mainly used for combat, and only if you learn and want to use it. It's even been theorized, although I myself am not actually sure about this, that you could use this spell on the main quest boss. The reason why so many are not sure, however, if this can be done is because the main quest is a lower level quest than the one that you need to go on in order to unlock the spell. The quest in relation to Sebastian Sallow's Shadow of the Relic, which is also optional. Avada Kedavra is also known as the Killing Curse and is notorious in Harry Potter lore for being a one-shot insta-kill spell. Rip Sirius Black and so many others that were killed by it.
I feel like my brain got hit with Avada Kedavra.
Oh no.
I've been brain dead this video.
Oh man.
Guess I need to cast Reparo on my brain. Callbacks! What spells do you wish were in the game that aren't?
Let us know down below.
Thanks for watching.
Bye!